welcome back to another book review with me. Over the week of Christmas, I read Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I have had this book sitting on my shelves for 2 years. In fact, I have the whole trilogy sitting on my shelves. I've had them since 2024. One of my old doctors that I worked for gave it to me as a going away gift when I left the practice to go where I work now. They have been sitting there, and I've seen a lot of people talk on TikTok and elsewhere about Brandon Sanderson and how good he is. And I am sometimes a little scared of fantasy. Sometimes fantasy is not my genre. I will be the first to admit that. So, I've been dipping my toe in with a lot of romantasy and the occasional fantasy, sometimes sci-fi. So me and some book club members were talking and we're like, let's do it. We've heard a lot of good things for you. I could kick myself for waiting for so long to read this book. 5 out of 5. This book is phenomenal. My only complaint, maybe 2 complaints that I have, is it is a little slow to start. And so it did take a little bit more effort for me to get into. I will say I was intrigued enough to continue the book, but it was a little slower than I was expecting given how everybody talks about Brandon Sanderson's writing. Once I was in, I was in. So if you can get past the first, if you feel like it's a slow to start, get past the 30 to 40 pages and you are set golden. My other slight complaint with this book was I wish that maybe we had gotten a little bit of a peek into the past. I enjoy that we're starting this 1,000 years after the event happened. I appreciate that. But a part of me does kind of wish that there would have been a little more of this event happened and this is how they became Mistborns. For me, I love the whys, and maybe that'll come later on in books because I am currently reading The Well of Ascension, and so there is a little bit of those questions happening, so I'm hoping I'm gonna get more answers later, and I'm trying really hard not to read anything and get spoilers. So those are my two complaints, which even still, not that bad. The world building in this is phenomenal. I love the idea that you have these people in the world who are mistlings or mistborn, and they can control metals, and that they have these equals and opposites. I love that you have one that pushes and one that pulls, or one that calms and one that riots. Soothes, I guess, is technically the term in the book. And so I really enjoy that he did a good job in this idea of equaling out everything or creating a balance. So many times things happen and we don't have that balance that happens. And so I thought this was beautifully done in this book of having that counterbalance of you do this and this happens. If you push this, you pull this. And so just very well done. I like Ven. I think she is fantastic as the female lead in this story. I also really like that Ven is not a damsel in distress. She is also not used solely to move the story ahead. I feel like oftentimes women or female characters in fantasy can be used simply to move the story ahead. And for this is Ven's story. It is stunning. She is well-rounded. I love seeing her growth from page 1 to the very last page, which is 600 and something pages long. I love seeing the growth, and I can already see the differences with her. The first 50, 60 pages I'm into The Well of Ascension right now. And so I loved Ven. I thought she was beautifully done, beautifully written. I like that we got this hint of romance at the end as well. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. I also really like the thought-provoking questions that come up with Mistborn, and the idea of, okay, well, you have this person who is the Lord Ruler. He rules over everything. His laws go. And then you have these lower levels, and the killing of these people in this book is allowed because it's what the Lord Ruler wants. And so it's thought-provoking in that, should we exist in a world like this? What is right? And then if we have an uprising or we rebel, what does the world look like after that? We decide to rebel, we overthrow a government, and what does the world look like after that? Who becomes the leaders? Who becomes in charge? Are we still fighting amongst one another? Do we have this well-thought-out plan? And I liked those questions, and I liked that for the most part, you get some good answers to the questions. And I'm curious because The Well of Ascension opens up kind of after the events of the story, and it's still kind of making you ask those questions. And so this is beautifully done. I am very excited to read the next one, or finish reading The Well of Ascension and then read the third one. So please stick around and hopefully follow me as I read through these. If you've read Brandon Sanderson, please let me know what your favorite book by him is and where I should go next, because I do believe I'm going to be a fan and I want to keep reading more of his work. So Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson.